Chickpeas are a staple in the Mediterranean diet. While canned beans can be a convenience, nothing matches the flavor and texture you get when you make your own from dried beans. And we're gonna do it quickly and easily in the Instant Pot. We're gonna start by brining our beans. Brining is an important step because soaking them in a salty solution is gonna help minimize the busted skins and even out the texture while they're cooking. So we're gonna start by taking 2 quarts of water and a tablespoon and a half of salt and dissolving the salt in the water. I like to use a whisk on this to get the salt all dissolved before I put the beans in. This, what I'm gonna do right here, is the overnight brine. So we're gonna put a pound of chickpeas into our water, stir them around a little bit, and then they're gonna sit on the counter overnight. Now, if you don't have 8 to 24 hours, you can also use the quick brine method. It uses exactly the same solution, but instead of letting it sit on the counter overnight, you're gonna turn on the high saute function of your pressure cooker. You're gonna pour your whole solution in there and you're gonna bring it to a boil. After it boils, you're gonna turn it off and let it sit there for 1 hour. After an hour, your beans are ready to go. So our beans have been soaking overnight. We have them here, and I've rinsed them off. It's very important to rinse your beans here because you're going to use a different amount of salt in the recipe than you used in the brine. So we want to get all the salt off the beans, and then we can start cooking with them. So we're going to add our beans to the Instant Pot, along with 2 quarts of fresh water. And we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt and a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. This olive oil is going to help stop the liquid from foaming when we have it in a sealed environment in the pot. So we're going to close up our pot, but before we close it up, we're going to check our gasket. We want to make sure we have a good seal here because we're cooking under pressure, so we don't want any leaks. So our gasket is a nice round place, all seated where it's supposed to be. So we're going to close it up, set our pressure release valve, and I'm going to set the pot to low pressure for 6 minutes. So you may notice that you set it to 6 minutes and the timer actually says on. That's because it cooks for 6 minutes under full pressure, and it takes about 5 minutes to get to that pressure. So this is actually going to take about 11 or 12 minutes to cook these beans all the way through. All right, our 6 minutes is up and it's time to finish our dish. We have 2 choices here to release the pressure inside the pot. We could do a quick release where I just flip the little quick release knob and it would shoot a spurt of steam out the top there and it would be done in about 2 minutes. But actually we want a slower, gentler release when we're doing the beans because we don't want to damage their structure. So we're going to do a natural release. So I'm just going to hit the cancel button. I'm going to turn the pot off and I'm going to let it sit here for 15 minutes. The pressure inside will slowly dissipate, come back to equilibrium, and then we'll drain our beans and be done. So our 15 minutes is up, and it's time to finish our dish. So I can see that the pressure indicator is still up. So there's still some pressure inside here, even though we've let it sit for 15 minutes. So I'm actually going to release it through the pressure release valve. And it's not that dramatic, but there it goes. So the Instant Pot actually won't let me open it until the pressure indicator goes down. So I'm waiting for this little red button to go down and I'll be able to open it up. It's time to open our pot and see what's inside. You want to be very careful when you're opening your pot. Normally when you're looking at a pot on the stove, you would take a look inside, but there's a lot of steam and still some pressure in there, so you want to be careful. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to open it away from me and use the top like a shield. So when the steam comes out, I can block it so I don't get a face full of steam. So here it comes. Look at that beautiful steam. Yeah, baby. So at this point, we're going to look in the pot and see if there's any floaters in here. A floater would indicate a bean that's maybe a little bit different age than the rest of the beans, but it's not fully cooked through. So I would want to scoop that out. We don't happen to have any in here. So we're just going to leave it the way it is. And we're going to take our pot out using towels because it is screaming hot. And I'm going to take it over to the sink and drain it. So it's time to drain our beans in a fine mesh strainer. We're doing it over a sink because we're done with the water. We don't need any more water, but we're not going to rinse them. We're just going to drain them nicely. Whoa, that's a lot of beans. Shake it out a little bit, get all the water out of there. Time to go into our bowl. Our beans are ready now to use as an ingredient in another dish, or drizzle with olive oil and eat them all by themselves. You can cook chickpeas and many kinds of beans in your Instant Pot any night of the week for quick and easy meals.